What's happening, folks? AnyForty live stream number 8. Going to go to the incredible Dan Mumford, who's based in London. So let's jump across there now. Let the numbers come in. If you missed the start of this talk, chat, interview, whatever, then you can pick it up on our YouTube channel. Let's see if Dan's online now. There he is. Boom. Yes, mate. Nice and punctual, straight on there.
I've got nowhere else to be.
Oh man. Like,
how's them? I don't know if this is better with these in or out.
Yeah.
Does that make any difference to you?
Doesn't make any difference on this end. I guess it's just whether you can hear my boring northeast tones.
No, I'll just leave that. Easier. How's things going with you?
Mate, it's all right, man. It's all right. It's ups and downs, isn't it? Like, in touch wood, fingers crossed, all that stuff. At the moment, the ups are outweighing the downs, so that's a positive.
Yeah, it's weird times, you know, but we just got to keep on plugging away, haven't we?
Mate, it's all you can do. Take it day by day, I think. How are you finding things in London then? Because it's only really occurred to me today how like you've probably seen on Instagram, but how kind of lucky I am in the northeast that I've got places I can walk to and I can get space quite easily. I guess London's quite obviously from living there, it's going to be hard to get space, is it?
Well, me and my partner, we actually left London. We've mainly left London for the last few weeks.
Ah.
Yeah, we've been in to get a few bits, but to be honest, it was we're staying with the mother-in-law, so it's just easier. There's countryside around us, so we got a lake and a park and stuff we can walk around really easily. So
amazing, man. That's I think that's definitely a lifesaver at the moment if you can get out there and safely get some fresh air and just get it really.
Yeah, I think we'd be sort of struggling a bit mentally if we couldn't get out more easily. So, I'm really happy we made that decision. So, it's worked out all right.
Yeah, man. So which part of the country have you ended up in? Or was it a top secret location?
I won't disclose the exact location. No, we're just outside London, so it means we can go and get stuff and my studio. There's people doing stuff in there, but I haven't been there that much. But I want to get back to like most people, I want to get back to it. But
that's it. It'll come in time, won't it? So talking about your studio, who do you share your space with? Anyone exciting?
Yeah. Well, I used to be in a really big studio with about 20 people.
Oh wow!
But unfortunately, that had to sort of end due to the what do you call it? The basically the agreement had ended, so we all had to move out, and I moved in with two of the guys, an illustrator called Tom Gould, and a book cover designer illustrator called John Gray. So we're a lot smaller now. It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, still in East London.
Yeah. Right. Dalston based.
Brilliant. So how long have you been in London for now? It's got to be a while.
Let's think. 2007, I moved.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in Watford, Rickworth, outside London before I went to university.
Right.
So it was kind of I was always in London anyway, but living there properly, it's been 13 years or so now.
That's mad. It's a solid stint, mate. I only managed like 3 years of it.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like it. There's something about London that I think is pretty special, and if you can crack it, if you can sort of make London work for you, then it's a good place to be.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most incredible cities in the world.
I think so. Yeah.
Like you just having to think. The reason I found it hard was I was kind of balancing a lot of my time between doing AnyForty, which was time was strictly just clothing. And then it was freelance work, sat in, like, I had an agent at the time, so it was sat in like design studios and design agencies, and it was a bit of the work sort of stuff was a bit soulless, and I just found it hard. I found it life, but I love going back. I've got a lot of incredible memories. So it's an amazing city. So once this is all over and can venture back down there, I'll have to meet you guys for a drink. Say hello
Yeah,
to Sky as well. I saw she just commented.
yeah, she's in there. Yeah,
She in a different room.
yeah. It's London. I'm not sure I'll ever leave London, but I understand why people. Do you know what I mean? Like, firstly, it's so expensive, and secondly, like, it can be a bit much. Like, it's very, it's not a very personable city sometimes.
No.
But I like the fact that I could go anywhere, anytime within London and do something new that I've never done before.
Yeah.
Um,
That's something that I've missed a lot. Like and it was something I was going to ask you later on, but we'll talk about it now. We can bounce backwards and forwards in time. But the group art scene at the time when I lived there was incredible, man. There was nothing like it. Was it like Thirsty Thursdays they called it? Pretty much every Thursday you could go to like Shoreditch and Brick Lane and just bounce between different galleries, having anything from huge illustration group shows to like street art ones with the upper echelon of like Shepherd Fairy and Deface and stuff like that. How's that changed the last few years?
Not in a good way. It's kind of gone, like there's still openings. There are still openings, but whereas I think in the past it would be most Thursdays, actually there'd be something, especially the first Thursday of the month. I think that was it, right? And there'd always be something. And I mean, also when you're a bit younger, you're like, I don't really care. I'll go to anything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think for me, it's a little bit of there's less impetus for me to go out to things, but also I definitely think there's less stuff out there that I'm interested in necessarily. Whereas in the past, there would definitely be lots of stuff where it was really good to go to, and it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that was the last time I saw you like physically in London when God, what was the guy called? The illustrator that used to work with Tom Mike.
It was it the New Rule show?
Yeah, No Rule Collective, New Rule Collective.
New Rule, yeah.
Yeah, they did two awesome shows. God, was one about. Oh, it's a long time ago, but it feels like the last time I saw you, and that was the last time in my head there was like an amazing collection of regular artwork from like you, Gorky, Tom Mac, like all these incredible artists that I've been lucky enough to work with in one space.
Yeah, I mean, there's been shows, but they're not as regular, and I think that's a shame because it is a good, those are good moments to get together with everyone and sort of see people I haven't seen for ages, and I wish there was more of that stuff.
Yeah, but Guy, as you know, raw artists. They had a one recently which looked awesome. I was gutted I couldn't come down to that, and now I just wish I just made it happen. I wish I'd made that journey, go down, get like one hit of a group show.
Yeah,
we got locked down, but hindsight. But it looked like it was great.
Yeah, man, that was a great show. Yeah, it was amazing.
So let's go into talking about your artwork at the moment. So obviously you've got like what you got like 100,000 Instagram followers. You're the go-to guy for movie artwork, really.
We're getting there. It's 93 right now.
93, getting tickling the bum hole of 100. But yeah, so I'm guessing like the majority of people watching this will probably be guys on your account wondering who the fuck I am. But
no.
So for my guys, they'll be more than aware of you. We've been lucky. We've worked together on 2 t-shirt designs for Onward. Let's take it back to the early days. So obviously you're a man in high demand now. When was your first sort of commercial job when you felt, right, I can make a career of this?
So, do you know what? There was never a point particularly where I thought this is definitely going to work out. But just at the end of my time at university, I did a record cover packaging for the band Gallows, and I got paid, basically, like paid a comfortable amount that meant I could sort of give myself a few months in London. And that was kind of the starting point, I think, where I went, okay, so like if people pay me to do this stuff that I enjoy doing, then potentially there's a career here, right? I didn't really realize it until then. I was sort of just doing what I do at university. But that was the first time when I went, this is potentially going to work out. Before that, I think I thought I might just get a job in a studio or something. But after that, it just sort of slowly made its way to being a career, I guess. There wasn't a single point. There wasn't a moment where it's sort of a trajectory going up or anything.
Yeah, that's interesting, because that was the first time I ever saw your work as well. I remember it was just when I started in computer arts projects, probably December 2008, and we had a music issue, and I remember trawling through, like, I think it would have probably been Behance at the time, looking for artwork, and I remember seeing yours, the Gallows one. I think you did two, didn't you? There was the one with the shark.
Yeah.
And what was the other one off the top of my head? But I remember seeing them. They went, oh, you did three. Wow.
Well, technically four. So the album came out originally with artwork by me and Alex Curtis. We sort of did it together. Then the re-release happened a year later, and I did that, and it was like a reimagining. And then to go along with that, there was promo singles releases, basically, and it was like a octopus thing and then a shark thing. So
that is,
yeah.
So that's like your style to me has always been pretty instantly recognizable, and the shark and the octopus feels like the early version of your style, which you've then gone on to really, really develop and work into shade and the lighting effects. So when did you first start messing around with that kind of style? Because I personally hadn't really seen anything like that at the time.
Well, I think it kind of came from me loving comic books and things like that. And what happened was I didn't really actively go after a style or anything. It just sort of evolved from me enjoying that sort of line work, thick, heavy black line work. Stuff like Frank Miller, Sin City. Like, I was a bit obsessed with that stuff when I was younger. But I would also do lots of stuff with different collaging and loads of different materials and stuff. And then, I don't know, the point I'm at now, it does look quite different to how it did back then. But I think you can still sort of tell it's the same person. I don't know. All people just know my work, I guess. I don't really know.
That's it. Yeah, I wasn't meaning any shade on that. It feels it's that, but to 100 miles an hour, and it's really developed, and it's like it's amazing. Like, I've got a piece on the wall. I've got around to framing yet, but the Gremlins bit.
Oh yeah.
And it's just your work's just it's insane. I love it. I think the thing that really stands out to me is just your eye for like lighting, like the colors, the different tonal color palettes you use, and just to highlight specific parts in lighting effects is just it's beautiful, mate.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, like colors, what's become really important to me. I used to not really know what to do with color. I really struggled, actually, like massively. And I think also, sort of, if you look back, now I think about it, my color work was pretty immediate when I started getting more commercial work. But before that, it was all black and white. I didn't really use color at all. I couldn't really understand color theory or anything like that. And I'm all very much self-taught in how I use color, actually, which is why I think sometimes it's perhaps a bit over the top. But it's one of those things that I don't think you can necessarily like the way I look at color is not something I would know really how to explain.
Yeah.
Um,
You
other
know,
than
right, and
yeah, it looks right to me. That's why I do it like that.
yeah,
But I think that is also just general color theory. You know, colors that match together, the color wheel, that sort of thing.
yeah,
But I just love making stuff that's really bright and colorful, really, and
yeah,
also trying to make things that are maybe a little bit grim or nasty,
yeah,
kind of nice and colorful.
yeah. That's what I like about your work, mate. It feels like it's dark and it's pretty heavy, but it's also really colourful. Like
Hmm.
if that works, like the t-shirts you've done for me, like this one especially, like it's a bit been through the washing machine quite a lot of times, but brilliant, man.
Yeah, man. No, I love that. Do you know what? I haven't seen that in a while. I like that design.
Yeah,
That's
when was that? 2000,
was that
2015,
the
I think.
was that the world tour one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was an idea we had for doing like a series of t-shirts with different artists from around the world.
yeah.
You got the London one. It was as if we were doing like a tour, and that would be the merch that would be on.
That's awesome. I love that design. Yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant, man. It's like, and I'm keen to like we need to link up and do another design at some point. But I feel like this was you going pretty fucking full on heavy metal. But I'd like to see you just do something incredibly evil, like full on metal.
Worse than that. Just
Yeah,
really.
with that, making people's kids and grannies cry in the street.
Yeah. I
Maybe
mean, it's funny because I have done in the past some designs because I used to only do like metal and hardcore band t-shirts. That was like what I did for 3 years. And some of the stuff you'd be asked to do, I was a bit like, okay, yeah, I can do that. I'm not sure that I'm going to put it on my website, but I'll do it for you.
it was around the time that I remember seeing your work. I also remember seeing a lot of God Machines as well at the time. Felt like you two guys were in that kind of the heavy metal zone.
Yeah, me and God Machine, we were like working very much the same trajectory at that time. And it was quite nice. I used to speak to him quite a bit about like just work in general. I'd never met him, but we'd speak, and he was a good sort of good person to bounce off about all that stuff.
Yeah,
And yeah, no, they were fun times actually. There was quite a few of us. Like there was sort of a group, I think, of people that were mainly working in the alternative music scene, doing these CD covers and t-shirt designs, and that aesthetic kind of, you know, it really got nurtured, I think, at that moment. Around, yeah, it was like around 2007, 2010. It was this sort of really powerful, colorful,
yeah,
full-on illustration, and it just blew up because bands were going out touring with like 20 band t-shirts to take on the road. You know, like merch was really important, so it meant we all had loads of work to do and loads of t-shirts to design.
yeah. Because I guess that was a time when I guess the digital music had been happening for a little bit, but I guess that was the real time when piracy was like people's internet speeds were getting better. It was easy to rip albums off Napster or whatever the hell people were using.
Yeah,
The merchandise became very popular, didn't it? Fans to kind of keep their cash flows, their tours.
Yeah. Like, but basically, I think it was because, you know, firstly, it hadn't become cool again to buy vinyl. That hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure some people would tell me otherwise, but like every band now puts something out on vinyl. When I can tell you, like back in 2007, not every band was doing that. And you know, I think that was probably, you're probably right, because I think CD sales were down. And I know that it was all about selling the t-shirts basically, and they would sell a lot.
Oh, wow.
But I think that's why it was sort of the dumb thing to do the biggest, most crazy t-shirt design you could. And I think you also saw like, the actual process evolve quite a bit then of what you could do with a t-shirt and what you could do with merchandise. Because where it'd normally just be a sort of a smallish print or something, all of a sudden I think it was like, no, we can do like a full print. We can do a full size print, or we can do an all over print.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing a couple of my favorite designs were for a band called the Black Dahlia Murder.
Okay.
And
I don't know
I've
them.
done like 30 designs for them, maybe more, like t-shirt designs. But two of them were hoodies, and it was amazing because they were like, let's do everything we can, whatever we can, and we do like arm designs,
Yeah.
front, back, and hood, and like on the pockets as well. So one hood would be like 7 or 8 different designs all on it, and
What?
that was amazing. Like I've not done clothing that was quite as intricate as that since, I don't think.
Mate, and especially in that time, that would have been an incredibly expensive product to produce for them.
Right? But they had the fan base, and I think the return on that was probably quite good. I would hope. I don't know, to be honest.
So
But
that's interesting. So were you always into that sort of music as a teenager, a young
yeah,
man?
yeah, yeah. I'm afraid, Al, we don't see eye to eye musically.
Nah.
We're
Yeah,
very different, but we meet in the middle, so it's fine.
yeah, man. And we can appreciate each other's musical tastes.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. It's not to say I don't appreciate other music, but like I am full on a guy of metal and hardcore. Like,
Brilliant.
um, it's quite funny because the work I was doing was always that world when I was starting out, and I remember meeting a couple of people at just smaller things, and there was one really specific one where I met a guy, and he was like, "Oh, you're Dan Mumford. You did all these t-shirt designs." I went, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he went, "Oh, I thought you'd be more metal." And I was like, "Oh, sorry." Like he was expecting some sort of really brutal looking guy. But to be honest, I think I've got a little bit more brutal looking as I've got older because I now have no hair and my beard's grown. So
Yeah, yeah. The no hair will do it. It'll scare people.
yeah. But that was quite funny. But yeah, that's always been my life, if you will.
Yeah, I
Music.
think that was probably the first one of the first times I met you, because I don't think at the time, especially in Instagram, I feel like you're not very now. The last few years, you've done a lot of talks, haven't you, and workshops. I feel like people are a lot more used to seeing you as a person, but I
Yeah,
can't remember really seeing like your face at the time, and it was like the first
no,
time I met. I kind of expected to meet like someone a bit rougher, uh, someone
yeah,
less well spoken. It was a nice
yeah,
position, really.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's changed nowadays, isn't it? Because we all put ourselves out there all the time.
Yeah,
I mean, we're like we're doing this right now.
yeah,
Uh, it's a very different time.
yeah,
But I yeah, I didn't really do any talks or anything like that for the first, like half of my career.
yeah.
But the last 4 years, I've really done quite a bit.
Brilliant.
I enjoy it as well, and I think that comes through when I do talks. So I think that's hopefully why people think then maybe I'm a good person to get as a speaker. So
Yeah. No, it's I remember we met that was the last time I saw you was at Off, wasn't it, in Barcelona, which was
yeah,
God, when was that one? 2, 3 years ago?
I think it's longer. I think it's more like 4 years.
Wow.
Wait, was that the one that I spoke at?
You were doing no, I don't think you were doing a talk on the stage. No, yes you did. You did a talk on the stage, but you were also doing a live Adobe
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
sort of class.
Yeah. I'm afraid to say I think that was maybe even 5 years ago.
Mm. Mate, time is evaporating and it's terrible.
Yeah, but
So just to wind it back a little bit and talk about your work with the band. So obviously you started off um, working with, I guess, more underground bands.
yeah,
The Gallows at the time, I'm guessing they were quite underground. And then you've gone on to build like an incredible roster of like, so like the likes of like Biffy, is it Clyro, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Fish, Soundgarden, like
yeah.
a small band called Megadeth. Like, what was the first band that came? The first big band that came knocking.
Mm, let's think. I think it might have been Iron Maiden actually. Um, I think so. Yeah, because that was they sort of if it's not them, then I forgive whoever the band was. But in my head, the main sort of big one that came along was Iron Maiden, because I was sort of like, oh, do you know what? I do tell a lie. The first one was Metallica, but not really, because they asked me to do a Metallica t-shirt design and then they didn't accept it. So, so no one ever saw that. But the first one that did properly happen was I did some work with Iron Maiden, and it was through, I think it was through another company called Acme, who like licensed stuff. So it wasn't directly with Maiden.
Like the fake bombs in
Yes.
road.
And that was cool because it was just like reimagining the songs or albums.
Yeah.
And that's turned into an ongoing project where I now work more directly with the band. Well, it's with their management, doing just a few more sort of reimagining artwork or imagining artwork for the songs based on lyrics, because it might be something where there's no artwork actually out there for it. That's, you know, it's really fun doing that, actually.
Nice. So how did they first get in touch with you? You're saying through the Acme guys, but how did you like reach out when you saw the email and saw it was from someone like that?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you sort of go, okay, like, is that really going to happen?
Yeah.
I think nowadays I'm a little bit more like, it's funny. Like I'm definitely, jaded isn't the right word because I'm not jaded. Like I still think it's amazing. But when you get an email and it's a client or a band and you're like, really, they want to work with me?
Yeah.
I more just sort of go, okay, I'm going to let that sink in for half an hour and then I'll reply maybe, or the next.
Yeah.
But the first few, like Iron Maiden or something, I remember just being like, what? Are you kidding me? Really? That's going to happen? Of course, it's amazing. Like such a wonderful opportunity to do stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So how did, like, we'll move on to movies now. Like I'm a massive movie fan. I don't think, I feel like you've almost like covered. I know there's a lot of films out there, but I was going through and reminding myself today, and I was looking, and it's like Home Alone, Gremlins, RoboCop, Alien, Back to the Future, Assassin's Creed, Predator, Fifth Element. Mate, the list, it's like,
The thing is, like, I think for me, if it's something like 1995 downwards,
yeah,
then I've got a good feeling about doing some artwork for it.
yeah,
If it's upwards from 95, I think I just sort of don't feel as interested. But I have done something in some capacity for most of those nostalgic sort of classic films, I think.
yeah.
Or at least ones that mean something to me. Like
And
I'm not really someone that will like to create artwork for a brand new film that's coming out, unless it's a job like directly for that project.
yes.
So yeah, I've tackled most films that I care to, you know.
Yeah, and you've tackled them like legit licensed projects, not like some just random illustrator being like, yeah, I've done all these movies, but they've just done them for fun, which is good, and it's a good way of building your portfolio. But you've done legit licensed artwork projects for classic films.
Yeah, man, for a lot of them, and it's generally, I mean, I think the one that most people probably have enjoyed is the stuff I did for Star Wars.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's, for me, that's like, in terms of, you know, licensed properties and doing pieces like that, that's the craziest one because it's Star Wars, you know. And you know, getting to see my work on such a large scale that's one that has never really fully sunk in.
Nah, there's not many bigger sort of franchises or brand names as that's up there in the world with probably like your Coca-Colas and your Nikes that everyone knows of. You don't say you can say it to anyone like, have you seen Star Wars? And they might not have seen it, but they're aware and know of it.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I think we'll probably see a little bit less Star Wars in the world for a bit. You know, especially artwork wise as well. I think we've kind of done it for a while. But you know, actually, and this is a slight tangent, but I don't really know what we're going to see from the creative, you know, the pop culture sort of industry in terms of artwork coming up, because there's no like new films coming out. There's no a lot of new things are kind of on hold, if you will.
Yeah.
And it would be that every time a film or whatever comes out, my social feeds would be full of new versions of stuff.
Yeah.
Which was always amazing to see. Like I love that, but I'm curious what it's going to be in a month. Like, is it going to be people just doing their own stuff,
Yeah.
or old stuff? I don't know. You know, it's just a thought I'm putting out there. It's an interesting time for all of that stuff.
It is. It's an interesting time, and it's kind of walking through unknown territory. Really, like you say, it's very bizarre, and there is things at the moment where movies that were scheduled to come out in the cinema, where I feel like they'd already run the promotions, ending up coming, like, you can rent them on Amazon Prime for like £17.
Yeah.
But nothing else is new's going to come out for a long time. So yeah, that's interesting. Interesting how that goes. And I've noticed I have noticed a few people on your Instagram feed occasionally will ask you about creating original artwork. Obviously, being a fan of comic books and characters, is that something that you have ever wanted to do? Have you
100%.
Yeah.
No, like it's very much. It's weird actually, because this year was meant to be my my like downtime year. I'd already sort of planned for this year not to be too crazy on the client work. Like, I don't have a gallery show planned this year, whereas I have had for the past 5 years.
Okay, yeah.
So this year was meant to be more about me doing stuff just for me. And it will be, but right now it's about doing as many jobs as I can, because who knows what's going to happen. So I found myself in the situation where I don't have a lot to do apart from work and sit around the house. But at the same time, like everyone, I'm going, you know, do I need to worry about my bills, my mortgage, like all these sort of things? And so far, I have work to do, which is great. But the longer this goes on, the more it is a case of, you know, is the income going to dry up? And I don't know. So I think when the work slows down, I will finally be able to do stuff for me. Or perhaps that's going to be the latter part of the year. I don't know. But I think my plans have just sort of shifted slightly to accommodate what's now.
Yeah, definitely understandable. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the rest of the year goes. Really, how long this is going to go on for. But you've got, like you say, you've got a massive audience. You sell prints very quickly. They all sell out. There'll be that audience there for original Dan Mumford prints.
I hope so. It's, you know, it's interesting. Like in the past, I have done stuff where it was just my own creations and things, and you know, they always do quite well with people, but never as well as something recognizable to their childhood or whatever. And that's understandable. But I do hope that when I finally do some stuff that is just my world, the stuff, that people respond well to it. But it's not something I want to rush. I don't want to sort of put stuff out that is half-assed or anything. So I'm also, right now there is no rush with anything. So I kind of, it's all up here. I've got notes. I have kind of like photo databases on my computer of ideas and sort of references I've been taking for like landscapes and things. I've been doing that for the last year or so. So I hope to pull it all into something quite fun at some point. I don't know.
Well, I look forward to seeing it. What I was going to ask you is, so a lot of your work is, it's digital. It's all digital work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you ever experimented with like physical painting, or is it too far away from what you do?
Well, it used to be all physically done. So the first sort of year, maybe 2 years that I was working out of university, everything was hand drawn.
Ah,
So it would just be a piece of paper with black ink line work on it.
yeah.
And I think what happened was I sort of got a bit bored of doing that, then scanning in.
Aye.
And my knowledge of Photoshop just got better. So I sort of got to the point where I bought just a little Wacom intro tablet, just a small one. And that was like the tester, see what I thought to it. And I basically slowly graduated from there to the big Cintiq 22 HD thing.
Oh, beautiful.
And ever since that time, I kind of stopped doing stuff physically, like analog ink drawing.
Yeah.
And it's mainly a time thing. And also now, do you know what? It is really weird if you put an actual pen in my hand and a piece of paper. I can't draw. Like,
I guess
it's just not quite the same anymore. So that's weird, but
yeah, because it's quite mesmerizing. I've watched a lot of your the work that you've done with Adobe when you'll do like a live stream of you creating a piece.
yeah,
It's mesmerizing just to watch the line work and the way a piece can come together and the layers and the colors and the shapes and stuff. So I can imagine it would be weird to go from years crafting that back to paper.
it's very different, and it is a very different work method. I think for some people it's not. For some people it would be, they can kind of do it either way. But I've done it for so long now that I can't sort of switch my brain off to think, like, to not be doing the shortcuts with my left hand.
Yeah.
And also the way I work is I sort of draw in a big bit of black, and then I erase or like carve out areas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's sort of a mixture of that and normal line work, and not being able to like draw and then erase really easily doesn't sort of work in an analog way for me.
Yeah.
I do some stuff very occasionally, but I don't think it's going to be something I do much of.
Nah, it's not something you suddenly like down tools in 2 months' time and start doing like huge oil painting.
Nah. Do you know what? I think in my latter years, I think I probably will. Like, I have a feeling I'll take up painting properly at some point, and really put to practice some of my color theory ideas and things. But for now, no, I'm just going to stick to digital because it is the way I like to work.
Yeah, it looks incredible, right? So there's no reason to rock the boat, is there? The only reason I've asked that is quite interesting. So obviously, I know a lot of tattoo artists, and with them being shut and not able to tattoo people, a lot of them have started creating like watercolor paintings. It's really interesting seeing like that artwork that I'm so familiar with, either seeing sketches or on people's bodies, suddenly becoming these big like watercolor painting pieces, and it's interesting to see
great.
Different styles done different ways.
I mean, the thing is, like, with tattoo artists, and I've got quite a few tattoos, and I love going to different tattoo artists that I really like the style of.
Yeah.
And what I think's interesting is when I find it funny when people actually ask me to design a tattoo for them or something, because I never do that. I don't like doing that. And or when people have got my work tattooed on them, like, it's awesome that they've got that done. That's great.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting because a lot of tattoo artists, their style is so good. To me, I would just want to go to a tattoo artist and be like, do what you do.
Exactly.
Do what I love about your work. And I just think some people kind of don't think sometimes that actually, they're artists. They're not just people with a
I've
inking.
I've found that very interesting. It's like, obviously I've been in this illustration game professionally as such for 12 years, and the amount of people that I follow and keep in contact with, And I don't think I can go more than probably a week without seeing someone comment on someone's work, and it could be a digital artist, a 3D artist, a typographer, a signwriter. And someone out there will ask like, "Can you draw me a tattoo? How much to draw me a tattoo?" And I just feel like it is a little bit disrespectful to tattoo artists who are illustrators and brilliant artists in their own right to just be.
That's my point. Yeah, it's sort of like, no, just go to a tattoo artist you like,
Yeah,
get them to do something for you. And I do love seeing. Sorry, I love seeing tattoo artists work as prints as well,
yeah,
or when they do something large scale that they wouldn't normally be able to do.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm enjoying seeing that sort of stuff out there as well at the moment.
Yeah, I've been enjoying being illustrating, learning how to tattoo, and moving into that like proper professionally, like Ollie like a Monday. He seems to be making a killing career at the minute, like as a tattoo. Yeah. I think like remember Cy Scott, like the typographer.
Yeah.
I think last I heard he was like a tattoo artist as well in Manchester.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few. I know a few artists that have moved like into tattooing after a few years. I'm not sure. I don't think I'd ever do it. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I think if you wanted to do it, it's kind of a young man's game. Like a lot of tattoo artists I know are 30, 40 years old with just terrible back pain. And
I was going to say my back's already ruined, so
yeah.
I'll probably give it a miss, I think.
Tell you what, mate, we're absolutely flying through this. So we've only got under 20 minutes left. We should. I'm seeing quite a lot of comments, and some people are desperate to ask you some questions. In particular, Matt Maurice, I think he is. So yeah, if anyone wants to ask any questions, Dan, let's ask them. So we've got one here from Who Dat Nathan, and he's saying, Dan, what is the one film piece you still want to tackle in terms of artwork?
One film piece I'd like to tackle. Do you know what? There's a film that I wanted to do a piece for, and I've planned to do it twice, and I haven't done it because I couldn't work out a good way to do it. And that film's Total Recall. So the original one from the 80s. And the reason I didn't do anything for it was because I couldn't really work out an iconic moment or scene that I felt visually would work for me.
Yes.
And so that never happened. Maybe it will one day, but I just couldn't work it out. And that's the other that's an interesting thing to say as well. Like whenever I do a piece, it's never a case of I need to do this piece or I need to, this thing's really popular with people, I want to work on that.
Yeah.
It's more about solving the puzzle about what it is that I like.
Yes.
And what it is that means something to me.
Yes.
And what do I think I can do visually with it that hasn't already been done?
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like when it's something like, we'll use Star Wars as a good example.
Mm-hmm.
When it's something like Star Wars and I'm approached to do a Star Wars piece or something, what is there that I can do that has not already been done?
Yeah.
And there's not a lot really, because it's such a, Star Wars in particular is so like saturated with artwork, pop culture work.
Just fan art alone.
Yeah, like it's huge. So it's really hard to come up with something that's your own. And actually, this is a fun story. Like with the new film, before the film, the new Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker, before it came out, I was working on the promo poster that were given away at cinema. And I was sort of taking these little snippets of the trailers and going, okay, maybe this is a cool thing we can work on. And I would like Google these elements of the trailer. People have already turned them into artwork. What? And I was like, I didn't want to be like accused of like looking at things that for a film that hasn't even already come out. Do you know what I mean? It's a very strange process.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, but but that's Star Wars. Like before the film's already come out, there's already so much stuff out there for it. But anyway, back to
Yeah.
the original question, it's always really hard for me to work out what to do with some things, and Total Recall is the one that I can one
Yeah.
day crack.
So that's actually, I'm not taking up too much of anyone else's time, but that's a question I always had as someone that has to set briefs for people and deal with clients. When someone comes to you, so let's just say that this Gremlins that I've got on the wall,
Yeah.
and ask you to do a poster for it, how much direction do they give you in terms of particular scenes or characters or?
Do you know what? It generally it will be more like, we want to feature this person,
Mhm.
or we want to feature this moment as
Right.
it's important or something.
Yeah.
But in terms of the actual composition, I don't know, maybe I'll get shown a piece of my work that they like the look of, or they want to sort of replicate.
Yeah.
And I've had that quite a bit in the past. Mainly, I think, because it happens quite a bit, because with me, there's kind of like 3 or 4 compositions that I do most of the time.
Yeah.
I think you find that with quite a lot of artists. They have a composition or an arc to the way they produce pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So, that happens sometimes.
Okay, that's just curious. Right, so let's get back to the actual people that are tuning in's questions. So we've got I don't know how to say that, glide stand. How do you prepare your file for printing? Is it something you do when you finish the job, or do you consider using only a few limited colours since the beginning of work, aiming for something like screen printing?
Well, I nearly always work in a method that's suitable for screen print. So I kind of work in layers the whole way through the process.
Yeah.
And that's possibly quite unique. I think a lot of artists work on stuff and don't worry too much about colours.
Yeah.
They'll just be like, oh, it's in this sort of hue of blue or something.
Yeah.
And then they separate it out. But for me, it's very much like, I nearly always, yeah, I mean, that's a good example right there. I nearly always do sort of have an idea in mind about how many colours it's going to be, and I work on it in those colours, just like that, like a screen print layered file. And in terms of preparing it for print, I do I do as much preparation as I can, which is, I get it to a point that I think is pretty good. I know some screen printers, when I send the work across, they tweak a little bit to suit them. But I just make sure it's a tidy layer. All the colors are on different layers.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, And I know that's quite hard to get your head around for some people, like the process of screen printing. But I learned screen printing at university, so it was always like in my head. Like, I always understood the way. It doesn't get taught or anything. It's very much that's very much a online tutorial sort of.
I think it's
thing.
something that's a bit more relevant for people of out a similar age to what we are as well, because we came before the digital printing game was so prevalent, really.
Yeah, I have a feeling that people at university, I kind of hope they're taught a bit more than we were about stuff working with computers, because our course, I was in the illustration course, and there wasn't a digital aspect to that.
Nah.
Like, it was mainly about different print processes, and we had a Photoshop course that was maybe 5 sessions, something like that, maybe a bit more.
Same with me.
But I can't say that I really came out of it understanding Photoshop, and there was no tablets to draw on or anything.
Nah.
I mean, this was 2004, 2007. I was there, but I definitely hope that it's a bit better for that stuff.
Hope so. But again, it's like a lot of these talks that I've done so far, it comes down to everyone's really driving home the fact that you do your main living actually on the job, and once you've graduated university, doing these things regularly.
Yeah, like I learned Photoshop and like how to use color and how to compose things, all just through repeated doing. I'm not really someone that's too clued in on, art history or why we should compose things, or
Yeah.
things like the golden ratio. All of these, like, I know they're all important, but I just do things that in the way that works for me. I think normally the thing is, normally most of the ideas and process that I put into my work, I imagine they fall into those things. Do you know what I mean? It's just sort of the way your eye works. I don't know.
I'm a strong believer in doing something how your eye works. If something looks right, and you're confident in that, especially in the branding game. Obviously, I do a lot of branding. I see like younger artists, and they'll share their logo, and it's like they'll show that, like you say, the golden ratio and the circles, and they'll be like, "But look how it fits all these specific parts," and you're like, "Yeah, but when you turn all that bullshit off, it doesn't look particularly good."
Yeah, no, that's 100% it. Like, you can have a lot of the theory and the ideas behind stuff, or like you can spend hours composing something to make it the correct composition.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if it doesn't, it doesn't look good, then so what?
You've missed the target.
Yeah.
We've got a question from Melbs, another illustrator legend. So he's asking, have you ever had your work engraved, like lino printed, woodcut, embroidered, different kind of material, product, or platform? Is that something you've experimented with in the past, or had a client experiment with?
I haven't had my work in laser etched a couple of times, and some sort of interesting wood-based printing stuff. I've had quite a few skateboards made as well, and my work's been turned into skis.
Wow!
Actually, the coolest one is I work with a company called Icon Motorsports, and I've worked with them on maybe 12 like motorcycle helmets.
Oh.
And that's awesome, like, because that's a process that's really weird to get your head around, because you have to create something that's going to be like 360 all over.
Yeah.
And it's fun for me, because they kind of just sort of ask for crazy ideas.
Yeah.
And then I create them, and they apply it on their end correctly, if you will.
Because I was wondering, there's got to be a lot of distortion, hasn't there, that you've got to kind of consider for.
Yeah, and that's actually really hard. The first few times I worked with them, that was the tough part to like get my head around.
Yeah.
And I was like, should we just let you guys, like big stickers, sort of place them on your end? But that's probably the coolest thing I've done.
Oh, amazing. What was that client called? If anyone wants to do some Googling.
That's Icon Motorsports.
Icon Motorsports. Brilliant. I'll tell you what, mate, we've only got about 7 minutes left. We had this Matt Maurice, who was desperate for a question a while ago. He seems to have evaporated. So if anyone else has got any questions, now is your time to pin down a very busy man in demand.
Well, not that busy right now. I could stay here for another couple of hours if you want.
Mate, it is quite scary times, isn't it? The only thing that's given me a little bit of hope at the moment, especially with UK clients, is how the government are giving a grant, like a 10 grand grant to a lot of businesses. I've had a few businesses contact this, wanting work done using some of that grant money, which is quite exciting, because I can imagine I've lost my words, but you can imagine if government went, right, here's 10 grand for your business, a lot of people might just sit on it and think, right, I'm worried, I don't know where this is going to go. But there's been a few people reaching out who like, right, well, I want to rebrand, or I want to create some t-shirts or some new products to sell. So that's kind of exciting. I think like
that's awesome. Yeah.
That could be a avenue. Right, we've not got long left, and we have right. So someone suffered to get a EV Wembley 19 poster. Got lost in London. That's more a statement.
So, hang on. Someone's asking. What are they actually asking? Are you asking if I have any posters? No, I don't.
I think that's probably what you're just going to ask. Yeah. Oh no, he got it on eBay. He picked it up on eBay. So that's a nice story. He tried to get the poster, got lost in London, but he still managed to get one.
Good. All right. I'm glad he got one. It's not really a question, but it doesn't matter. It's fine.
Yeah. It's a story.
It's a story. Yeah. Yeah. Those the stuff I've done for Eddie Vedder those posters, they're like gold dust, which is a nice problem for me to have. But the fan base for Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam is huge. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I've just learned doing these live chats. I chatted to Travis Price, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and he's done a lot of stuff for Eddie Vedder. I didn't know who he was, but obviously I've heard of Pearl Jam.
You didn't know who Eddie Vedder was? Come on.
Hold me hands up. Naive.
To be fair, you could probably throw a lot of names at me and I would not have a clue who they were. So, you know.
Oh, mate, incredible. So what does the future hold for once lockdown's over, Dan, in terms of speaking? Have you got any events lined up that have perhaps been put on pause?
Well, I was meant to be going to Adobe Max in Europe, but that was in June, and that's moved now. I think it's probably just going to be next year. I don't know. I don't have a clue, but
Yeah.
That was a real bummer. That was kind of like my one trip that I had this year planned. So I kind of think I'm going to be a little bit more quiet on those sort of things for the moment. I mean, I think the world's going to be a bit quiet on that stuff. I don't even know if by the end of the year we're going to be having events where I could even be at.
No. This is the worry. Like, I've personally got tickets to go to Off Again. It's kind of me one escape during the year to go there for 4 or 5 days and get some sun. But they've moved it back till September, and it's like.
When was it meant to be?
It was meant to be pretty much next week.
Yeah.
So they've moved it back to September, but personally, I can't see that happening. I hope it happens.
The thing is, it could happen, and that would be great.
Yes.
But I don't know that people will be going. Because, firstly, with something like Off, a lot of the time it's companies sending people to them, right?
Yeah.
I would guess like 50% at least is companies sending their employees to these creative gatherings.
Yeah.
And I don't know that those companies are going to be doing that. So I just don't really know. And it's a worry because for me, in the past few years, going to things like Adobe Max, Off, Bump Festival in Belgium, they're really cool things to go to where you get to meet people from different disciplines, but you're all of the same mindset.
Yeah.
And, you know, if those things go away, it's just going to be such a shame. I mean, we can do stuff like this online. Of course we can. It's great. But it's not the same.
Nah.
So, you know.
That's it. It's we've just got to hope that a lot of those companies that have built incredible events aren't going to be damaged too much by this, because, like I say, I've only really been to Off, but I would like to go to Adobe Max, and I'd like to do more. And
it's insane.
Mate, they all look incredible, and it's just a chance to go there and meet people that regularly work with and see in real life when you don't normally get the chance to, and then meet new people, experience talks from people that you've never even heard of before, but then you go there and see it, like, changes something in your head.
It opens your mind to a lot of stuff. It really does. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, mate. I think that is it for questions, and we're going to get cut off in about a minute. So I will say thank you very much for giving up an hour of your time on a Friday when
no worries, man.
Nothing else to do. But I hope you guys stay safe and stay safe. And I'll keep in touch on Messenger like normal. But thank you very much, Dan.
Take care, man.
A weekend. I'll speak. Cheers, mate.
See you in a bit. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Right. Awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. Come back and join us on Tuesday when we'll be taking a trip to London town, and we'll be speaking to Mr. Kingsley Nabici. Okay? Stay safe and have a lovely weekend, folks. Peace!